Hey guys, today podcast episode is about languages. The videos that I have in my in my YouTube channel, about languages have done pretty well. I think it's something that some of my viewers really are interested or drawn to, and I consider myself a language nerd. And the tips I'm gonna give today, I use them to learn English because most of it wasn't willingly, if I could put it this way. My mom, I remember, she took my phone and she changed all the things to English without my permission. She never let me watch things with Spanish subtitles when I got to South Africa. And I mean, she kind of had to, because I wasn't learning in lessons. I wasn't interested. I didn't put the effort, to be fair. It's not really the lesson's fault, but I never really put the effort. And yeah, it was quite a complicated thing to get me to study. So she's well, you're already in South Africa and I don't want to send you back because I want to be with you, so you gotta suffer, pretty much. And it worked. She threw me in high school mid-year, but as a listener, if that makes sense. As just someone that would sit in class, I wasn't officially enrolled yet. I just had to sit there and just listen to lessons and hear everyone talking to me. And it was a very interesting experience, to put it this way. So yeah, most of these tips I used to learn English, and I'm trying to use them now to improve my Italian and my German. I finished my curriculum of A2 in German. I just haven't taken the proficiency exam because I'm scared, but I will take it eventually. And I have my A2 in Italian, which was way easier than German because it's similar to Spanish. But yeah, let's get into it. How to become fluent in a new language fast. Tips and strategies. So, learning a new language, first of all, can seem like a daunting task. But with the right approach, you can make significant progress in a relatively short time. In this episode, we'll explore techniques that can accelerate your language journey, like I said, that I used, some of them against my will, and now with German and Italian, I'm doing it willingly. And whether you're a complete beginner or are looking to take your skill to the next levels, these tips will help you achieve fluency way faster than you will have otherwise. Number one, surround yourself with the language. In my way, this worked because I moved here. But even if you don't move to the country, there's a million other ways that you can do that. So this is called immersion. The idea is to surround yourself with the language as much as possible, mimicking the way children learn the first language. For example, you can change the language settings on your phone and social media accounts to the language you're learning. My mom did that. This simple change forces you to interact with the language daily, helping you pick up some vocabulary and phrases naturally. Another powerful immersion technique is to watch movies, TV shows, and YouTube videos in the target language, as I mentioned before. Choose content that interests you, as you are more likely to stay engaged and absorb the language. Don't worry if you don't understand everything at first. Your comprehension will improve over time as you get used to the sounds and patterns of the language. Additionally, listening to music and podcasts in the language can help you develop an ear for the rhythm and intonation. Try to repeat phrases you hear and mimic the pronunciation. This practice will not only improve your listening skills, but also help you with speaking. And listening is very, very important, because sometimes you learn a language, and obviously videos and learning resources, they'll pronounce it slow and detailed so you understand it better. But in a day-to-day life, people usually speak faster, and everyone has a different voice, and it can be a bit more difficult. So just to hear people speak that are not necessarily trying to teach you anything can be a very helpful way to train your ear. Number two, these I struggle with a lot, especially in German, and is what led me to fail my A1 exam at first, and it's speak from day one. Another key strategy is to start speaking the language from day one, even if you only know a few words. The goal is to get comfortable using the language in real conversation, which will build your confidence and reinforce what you've learned. For instance, you can use a language exchange apps like Tandem or Hello Talk to find native speakers who want to practice your language in exchange for helping you with this. And I have a Hello Talk account, and I've actually made friends there that I speak to on Instagram and WhatsApp. Funny enough, it's a very supportive community, and if you struggle to find language nerds, like I consider myself one in your day-to-day life, that app is definitely helpful. If you're not ready to have live conversations, as in like with a native speaker in front of you, you can start by talking to yourself in the language. Describe what you're doing, think out loud, or narrate your day. This might feel awkward at first, but it's a great way to practice without the pressure of a real life conversation. Another option is to join language learning communities, either online or in person. Many cities have language meetups so you can practice with others who are learning the same language. Those groups provide a supportive environment where you can make mistakes, learn from others, and gain confidence. Now we're gonna check study habits. Number 1, focus on high frequency vocabulary. One of the fastest ways to become conversational in a new language is to focus on learning high frequency vocabulary. These are the words and phrases that I use most often in everyday conversations. So mastering them will give you the most bang for your buck. For example, start learning the 1,000 most common words in any language. You can find frequent lists online, especially on YouTube, or use language learning apps like Anki or Memrise that incorporate spaced repetition to help you memorize those words effectively. My favorite is Duolingo. All of you know the fact that they have the league competitions and the streaks. It just stimulates my brain and helps me keep going. By focusing on the most useful vocabulary, you'll be able to understand and participate in conversations much sooner. Or, for example, if you hear somebody saying a sentence and you understand 5 of the 7 words of the sentence or 5 of the 8 words of the sentence, you can easily deduce what the sentence or phrase is saying. Another tip is to learn phrases rather than individual words. This way, you will not only expand your vocabulary, but also learn how words are used in context and the grammar structure in different cases. For example, instead of just learning the word eat, learn phrases like I want to eat, what are you eating, or let's eat together. This approach helps you think in the language and speak more naturally. For example, again, Duolingo, when I was doing German, it's so useful because it gives you different phrases that you can write down and use in your day-to-day, but also it helps you understand how, it doesn't directly give you the grammar rules unless you click in the notes, but it really with practice and repetition, it helps you know and just automatically memorize the grammar structure of the words. Technically, how when you were a baby and you learned your first language, you did it like that by listening to everyone speak it, and it's just automatically you become more familiar with the sentence structure just by repeating different sentences and learning different sentences, and you don't have to sit through a long grammar class, which grammar class are useful and I do recommend them, but in the beginning, it just helps you become more familiar with it. Number 2, consistency over intensity. I used to be the type of person that will learn for a whole day and then spend a week without learning. And in the beginning, when you are trying to use spaced repetition in your favor, this thing is not a good practice, at least not in the beginning, or not when you're trying to get into the habit of learning a new language. So that's why also I like Duolingo, because it gives you a lesson. You can complete a lesson in from 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes even less if you do everything right, or most of the things right. But yeah, you can do a lesson and even one lesson a day, then you're gonna want to do 2 and 3, and sometimes you will do 10, but not doing anything and then doing 10 lessons and then not looking at the app again is not gonna be as useful as if you only commit to 3 minutes every day and then build up to like 10 minutes every day and stuff. So when it comes to language learning, really, consistency is way more important than intensity. It's better to study a little bit each day than to cram for hours once a week. Daily practice helps reinforce what you've learned and keeps the language phrase in your mind. Like I said, spaced repetition. For instance, aim to dedicate at least 15-30 minutes a day focused on language study. And this is what I found online to be the ideal. But like I said, if you use Duolingo, you can start for 3 to 5 minutes. You can also use apps that create flashcards and then practice speaking in like a more interactive like flashcard like type of game. Or you can create your own flashcards like in person, like with your own papers and stuff. You can create flashcards, and it's also quite fun because I did that once. And creating flashcards and like printing pictures and like writing the word at the back. I did that with English, actually, funny enough, for one of my English classes. Like that was my homework, and it was actually extremely fun. And also I did that with Afrikaans as well in school, because the teacher that was teaching us Afrikaans, she obviously gave me extra classes because they were doing grade 10 level Afrikaans, and I was like so confused because I didn't even know how to say hello. Like I didn't even know that language existed. When I came to South Africa, I was under the impression that I was only going to learn English, and I could have never guessed that there were like 11 official languages. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's only 11. So yeah, that was very intense, but I was, again, just forced to do that. In section 3 of this podcast episode, we're gonna look at technology and resources, and I've been speaking about that a little bit throughout this episode, but we're gonna go in a little bit more detail now. So number 1, as I've been saying, use language learning apps and tools. In today's digital age, guys, there's no shortage of apps and tools designed to help you learn a language. Some of them I mentioned, but I'm pretty sure there's like way more. You just need to sit and look for the right one from you. Don't be scared of trying out different ones, because some of them can be interactive and engaging, but some of them cannot be for you. So do not be scared of trying. Again, as I mentioned, Duolingo is a popular app that gamifies language learning, making it fun to practice vocabulary and grammar. Another app is Babbel. It offers structured lessons that focus on conversations and practical language skills. If you're serious about language learning, investing in a premium app or course can provide you with more comprehensive content and personalized feedback. For example, I have Duolingo Premium. I think you call it Premium, because I think now there's another one that's like Duolingo Max, but I'm not sure. I don't have that one. I just have the Premium one. Another valuable tool is Anki, a flashcard app that uses spaced repetition to help you memorize vocabulary. You can recreate your own flashcards or download pre-made text tailored to your language. This method is particularly effective for retaining new words and phrases over the long term. In addition to apps, there are countless online resources available. For example, learning websites to YouTube channels dedicated to teaching languages, vocabulary lists, explaining grammar. For example, for German, there's this channel that's literally called Learn German, and they give you vocabulary and they explain the grammar, and it's honestly the most helpful thing ever, at least for me. There's also channels like Easy Languages that offer videos where native speakers are interviewed on the streets, providing you with real-life language exposure. These videos often come with subtitles, making it easier to follow along and learn new vocabulary in context. And number 2 is engage in authentic practice. Finally, one of the most important strategies for becoming fluent in any language is to engage in authentic practice. This means using the language in real-world situations rather than just studying in a textbook. For example, let's say you're learning Spanish. You could try ordering food at a Mexican restaurant in Spanish or having a conversation with a Spanish-speaking coworker. This will make you use the language in real-life context, and the more natural it will feel. For me, as a Spanish speaker, I absolutely love when people try and speak to me in Spanish, because like I like correcting them, not in like a mean way or anything, but like I like helping them and teaching them something, even if it's like a minor improvement. Like I like to make sure that I help someone improve, because I really did like when I was corrected and helped with like kindness and patience in like any of the languages I'm learning. Lastly, and I know that not everyone is able to do that immediately for like a lot of reasons, work, study, economic reasons, etc. But traveling to a country where the language is spoken is, of course, one of the best ways to immerse yourself and practice. Is gonna be the most joking one, but it's definitely the best because it brings out the survival in you. It's like, if I don't learn this language, I'm not gonna make it here, because not everyone speaks English everywhere. So another effective method is to keep a language journal. Write a few sentences each day about what you did, how you're feeling, or anything else that comes to mind. But do it in the language that you're learning. This practice not only reinforces vocabulary and grammar, but also helps you think in the language, which is something that I had to learn, because when I used direct translation from Spanish to English or from English to German, it was a disaster. So this practice not only reinforces vocabulary and grammar, but also helps you think in the language, which is like, again, crucial step to fluency. Lastly, guys, becoming fluent in a new language is a very exciting journey, and with the right strategies, you can speed up the process and start speaking confidently sooner than you think. By immersing yourself in the language, speaking from day one, focusing on high-frequency vocabulary, and leveraging technology, you can make significant progress. Like, really, honestly. For me, especially with German, since I started like not being scared of speaking and being a bit more risky, the second time I did my A1 exam, I passed, and now I'm done with my A2 curriculum that I posted a few months ago on the channel that I was gonna finish, and I said I was gonna do the exam in September, but I low-key want to like practice that curriculum and make sure I master it for a few months more.